My husband brought home his true love and insisted on taking her as a concubine. I was so touched that tears welled up in my eyes as I grabbed the hand of this so-called true love and wouldn't let go. How could I possibly let you be a concubine? You should take my place as the legal wife. Why don't we get divorced and hold the wedding all in one go today? We really didn't have time to waste. The imperial decree to confiscate our family property was already on its way. 1. Madam, something terrible has happened. The young master brought a girl home. Xiao Mei, the maid, burst in hurriedly just as I was still in a state of total confusion. I mean, anyone would be stunned if they were just sneaking a break at work, reading a novel in the bathroom, and the next thing they knew, they woke up inside the story. Especially when the novel is so mind-numbingly dumb, it's almost impressive. The heroine, Hua Yan, is completely love-brained. Her husband, Qi Sanyuan, brings home a manipulative green tea asterisk girl and insists on making her his concubine, favoring her over his wife. Asterisk T/N, green tea, refers to a woman who pretends to be innocent and sweet but is actually scheming. Later, Qi Sanyuan offends the emperor and ends up getting his whole house raided. His family becomes pitiful and destitute, barely scraping by thanks to Hua Yan doing laundry for others. Yet she still loves him so deeply she refuses to divorce him, even cutting ties with her own family. Qi Sanyuan never appreciates her loyalty. His heart is full of nothing but that green tea. In the end, the green tea finds someone richer and dumps him. Only then does this jerk realize he still has a pure and loyal heroine who never gave up on him. Just when they're about to reconcile, Hua Yan gets so overjoyed that she literally drops dead on the spot. Let's just say, the author clearly wanted to abandon the story, but still lazily threw in an ending. A smidge of professional ethics, but just a smidge. I was so righteously angry reading it, I smacked the toilet at the office. And then the toilet fell apart. And then, I transmigrated. I can already predict today's trending headline. CEO of a listed company dies after sneaking off to read trashy romance during work hours.
2.
My brain, trained through years of corporate warfare, was spinning fast. Today is the day Qi Sanyuan brings the green tea home. Which means, according to the plot, the imperial decree to confiscate our assets should arrive in 3 days. There's still time. With that in mind, I jumped up and shouted, "No more delays, let's go." Xiao Mei was so startled, she jumped 3 feet in the air. "Madam, that's really not necessary." From the pity in her eyes, it was obvious she thought I'd lost my mind from shock. Just then, a commotion erupted outside. I could vaguely hear someone saying, "Sanlang, your wife must hate me. If she refuses to agree, I'd rather become a maid and serve you for the rest of my life. As long as I can be with you every day, Lawner is perfectly content. Serve your own head, please." After the Qi family gets confiscated, you wouldn't even go out to buy groceries. You said it's because a lady from a good family shouldn't show her face in public. Completely forgetting you were once a glorified courtesan from Yangzhou. But Qi Sanyuan just loved that she was well-mannered and knew her place. Compared to the heroine Hua Yan, who dared to go out and earn money, she seemed so much more refined. 3. I stepped out of the room and casually splashed some water on my face. If the acting isn't enough, at least have some props. Husband you. I stay home taking care of your parents and managing the household, and you bring home a new woman just to stab me in the heart, sob, sob, sob. Actually, Qi Sanyuan barely knew Hua Yan. They had just gotten married when he was summoned by the emperor to lead troops to war. He didn't even have time to lift her wedding veil. That trip lasted 3 whole years. He probably never expected that the wife he'd never seen would be so devoted to him, so for a moment he was stunned. In Lawner's eyes, it looked like Qi Sanyuan was slightly swayed by my beauty. Her internal alarm bells went off immediately. "Sanlang, I'm just getting in the way. Let's pretend these 3 years of staying faithfully by your side were just a dream. Well, she's got skills." That's actually reassuring. Qi Sanyuan was instantly soothed by her gentle act and stiffened his face as he said, "Jealousy is a grave sin. What man doesn't have both a wife and concubines? Besides, I'm currently a fourth-rank general. The emperor might promote me any day now. And you still try to stop me from taking a concubine? What kind of behavior is that? I lifted my head, tears shimmering in my eyes. Are you really going to let Miss Lawner into the household? Chi Sanyuan declared with absolute certainty. My mind is made up. Lawner curled up in his arms like she couldn't live without him. San Lang, Lawner. I was so moved I started crying all over again. I stepped forward and grabbed True Love by the hand. You two are a perfect match made in heaven. I'm crying tears of joy for you. How could I possibly let True Love become a concubine? I'll give you my position as the legal wife. You know what? Why wait for another day? Let's settle the divorce and hold the wedding right now. All in one go.
4.
Chi Sanyuan and Lawner were both stunned. They couldn't understand how I had gone from passionately in love to flipping the script in a second. Chi Sanyuan smacked his lips and said, "There's really no need for that. You're still the main wife, don't worry." I got anxious right away. That won't do. We must divorce. How could someone like Miss Lawner be a mere concubine? Chi Sanyuan was starting to catch on. He squinted at me and asked, "You're serious about divorcing?"
No regrets?
Once we divorce, if you ever want to marry me again, you'll never be my main wife again. I looked utterly sincere. Wishing you both 100 years of bliss and many healthy sons. Now if you could please hurry up and write the divorce letter. Thank you. Unable to swallow his pride to stop me, and seeing Lawner's hopeful gaze beside him, Chi Sanyuan finally wrote out the divorce agreement in anger and threw it at me. I held the letter, trying hard to suppress the upward tug of my lips, afraid I'd burst out laughing right there. Chi Sanyuan turned to leave, flinging his sleeve. I quickly called out, "Wait a minute." Chi Sanyuan sneered as he turned back. "Already regretting it? If you beg me, I might consider." Lana's face instantly turned sour. I rushed to reassure her. Don't worry. I'm a professional. Trash I've already tossed, if you picked it up, it's all yours. No one's fighting you for it." Then I turned to Chi Sanyuan, who looked ready to explode. This divorce agreement is missing something. Let's add a clause. All dowry property remains with the wife. No joke. I could moonlight as a legal consultant too. Why should all that dowry of mine go to waste on him?
5.
When I happily marched out the gate with people helping carry my dowry, Chi Sanyuan was already too furious to speak. TCH.
So weak.
Even 2 or 3 coins would be overpaying for him. Xiao Mei looked at me with concern. "Miss, what are we going to do from now on?" I placed both hands on her shoulders. "Is your miss rich?" "Yes, quite a lot, actually." "Is your miss beautiful?" "Beautiful, easily one of the top beauties in the capital." "Does your miss have powerful connections?" "Yes. Master currently holds the rank of second-grade minister." I spread my hands. "Then what are you worried about? Come on, let's go live our best lives." Last life, I worked myself to death. This life, I'm lying flat and chilling.
Pure bliss.
From within the Chi residence, I could vaguely hear arguing between Chi Sanyuan and Lawner. Apparently, Lawner wanted to be the main wife, but Chi Sanyuan wouldn't agree. So he gave her a noble concubine title instead. TSK, fighting already? That was fast. But not my problem.
6.
I wandered through the streets with Xiao Mei, casually spreading the word about my divorce. It didn't even take an hour for the entire capital to know. After all, I'm a cautious person. What if no one knew I was divorced and I got implicated when the Chi family gets confiscated? Xiao Mei gently suggested, "Miss, maybe we should go back to the minister's estate first? I mean, who strolls around town with a whole dowry in tow?" I didn't respond because I had just spotted my target. "Xiao Mei, that courtyard over there. That should be part of my dowry, right? Find the key." Xiao Mei stared at me, dumbfounded. "Miss, you're going to live by yourself?" I raised an eyebrow. In ancient times, getting divorced wasn't exactly something to be proud of. My older brother was already married with a son and 2 daughters. If I returned home, Even if no one said anything, people would definitely gossip. And it wouldn't reflect well on the daughters of the minister's family. Besides, living alone is way better than living with a crowd. Once the dowry was settled, I took Xiao Mei with me back to the minister's estate. My parents held back tears when they saw me. As long as you've come back, a daughter of the Hua family, if need be, we'll support you for life. My nose stung and I mumbled, "Don't cry. Father, mother, divorcing might not be a bad thing at all." My brother and sister-in-law looked concerned. "We've prepared your room. Come home and stay tonight." I smiled and replied, "I saw a house among the dowry properties and I really like it. Please allow me to live there instead." My parents were stunned for a moment before understanding my intent. My sister-in-law looked at me with sincere gratitude. My brother reflexively wanted to refuse, but I stopped him. "I know you're all thinking of my best interests, and that's exactly why I should do this." 7. When I left the minister's estate, my arms were full of high-denomination banknotes and property deeds. This is what happiness feels like. My family felt I'd been wronged and practically emptied their coffers for me. My sister-in-law even gave me a whole street of shops, said it was for spending money. Apparently, it's the hottest food street in the capital. I was so touched I smacked my chest and swore, "Even if the sea's dry and the mountains crumble, my brother may stop being my brother, but you'll always be my dearest sister-in-law." My brother's face turned dark as a pot's bottom. He grabbed me and tossed me out of the estate. TCH, whatever. I've got money, I've got treats. This is peak living. I strolled back to my little courtyard, full of joy. But just as I reached the gate, a man stopped me. "Why are you living here?" I looked at him like he was crazy. "My house, my rules." Young, handsome, but unfortunately, totally nuts. I raised my foot to walk past him. The man took a deep breath and tried to keep his cool.
Don't misunderstand.
"I live in the courtyard next door. I heard this place is haunted. Would you consider relocating? I'd be happy to help." I stopped in my tracks instantly. "Haunted? You serious?" The man smiled slightly, thinking he'd scared me off. "Exactly. You should really move soon." Miss. Too bad. I had already dashed into the courtyard, leaving only a few words fluttering in the wind behind me. "Haunted? Great, I love a crowd. Think we can get a full mahjong table going? If we end up one short, I'll call you." The man stood frozen, face dark, eyes unreadable.
8.
I decided to stay put for the next 3 days. While I tidied up the house, I quietly waited for the imperial decree to raid the Qi family. But, to my surprise, on the morning of the 3rd day, 2 unexpected guests showed up and turned the whole farce into something on a completely different level.
9.
For whatever reason, Qi Sanyuan and Lanner swaggered over to visit me. They claimed it was to check on me. Lanner clung tightly to Qi Sanyuan's arm, glowing with pride like she was announcing her territory. Her whole face radiated smug satisfaction. Qi Sanyuan, on the other hand, looked a little worn out, with noticeable dark circles under his eyes. While petting a fat orange cat, I offered a friendly reminder. "Careful not to overdo it, kiddo." Qi Sanyuan froze for a second before realizing what I meant. His face darkened, and he gritted his teeth. "You seem to be doing quite well." I glanced at the swing in the courtyard, the blooming crabapple trees, the barbecue grill under the blossoms, and the plump cat in my arms. I nodded in agreement. Definitely better than before. Qi Sanyuan looked a bit sour. "If you've had enough of your little tantrum, then come home. You've gotten it out of your system, haven't you?" I immediately grew wary. "Who told you I was throwing a tantrum? You already gave me the divorce papers. There's no going back now." "Miss Lanner, please keep an eye on your man." Lanner took the cue and tugged on Qi Sanyuan's arm with a soft voice. "If sister doesn't want to come back, don't force her, husband. Not everyone can appreciate your greatness. Just look at her." As she spoke, she glanced around, clearly trying to find some flaw in my place. But after scanning the whole yard, she couldn't pick out a single thing, and I caught a flash of jealousy in her eyes. Well, I did spend a fortune on renovating this house and garden. I was determined to blind them with the sheer sparkle of it all. Just then, Chi Sonyuan's servant rushed in. General, someone from the palace has come with an imperial decree. All three of us visibly tensed. Lana's face lit up with joy. Is it a promotion for my husband? Could I be getting a noble title too? I kindly reminded her. Only the official wife can be given the title of Lady by imperial decree. All I got in return was a dramatic eye roll. You're just jealous. I'm telling you, you'll never get another chance to marry him again. Chi Sanyuan didn't say anything, but the smugness and anticipation on his face said plenty.
Me?
I was excited too. I couldn't wait to see the look on their faces when they actually received that decree. Why wait? As soon as Chi Sanyuan and Lana headed out, I quietly followed them.
10.
The novel didn't explain much about why the Chi family fell from grace. All I know is that Chi Sanyuan won a battle on the frontier and started running his mouth, calling himself the empire's stabilizing pillar. A few jealous officials reported him. That led to someone digging up a bunch of minor infractions, and soon a group of court officials jointly filed an impeachment. The emperor, who at least recognized Chi Sanyuan had won a victory, didn't punish him too harshly. He was stripped of his rank, had all his property confiscated, and received a public caning of 100 strokes. In short, the empire left him with nothing but a pair of pants. All I could say was, you really had the nerve to call yourself the stabilizing pillar? Even His Majesty never dared claim that title for himself. And by the way, your interpersonal skills must be in the negative. 11. I sat at a tea house across the street and watched Chi Sanyuan freeze like he'd been struck by lightning, helplessly staring as chest after chest of valuables was hauled away. Lana was throwing a full-blown tantrum, rolling on the ground trying to save a few pieces of her jewelry. Only for an eunuch to kindly explain. Dowries also count as part of the Chi family's assets. At that, Lana suddenly remembered me. Her eyes narrowed. Hua Yen took her dowry with her. Officers, go confiscate it. Excuse me, what kind of grudge is this? The eunuch twitched his lips. They're already divorced. Miss, that's going a bit too far, don't you think? After the house was raided, Chi Sanyuan was publicly pinned down, and the court punishment began without mercy. At first, he managed to hold back the screams. But later, it must have hurt too much, and he hadn't bribed the punisher either. So the guy went all out. Chi Sanyuan started howling like a pig being slaughtered. At my signal, Xiaomei had the tea house stop the music. I smiled faintly and sipped my tea, snacking on pastries to the beautiful soundtrack of his screams. Huayan, I borrowed your body. Think of this as my way of paying you back.
12.
After the show ended and the crowd dispersed, I strolled over to the Chi residence. Or rather, the former Chi residence, since it was now subject to seizure. Which meant that by tomorrow morning, Chi Sanyuan and his true love would officially be homeless. Tisk, tragic. Please keep up the good work. When I arrived, Chi Sanyuan was getting his second beating of the day. Chi father was standing over him, swinging a bamboo pole with impressive fury, while Chi Sanyuan lay face down in the dirt, unable to get up. Your mother and I just went to the temple to pray, and you managed to destroy the whole damn family? Huayan was such a good girl, and you divorced her. And you brought that thing into the house. Stabilizing pillar, huh? Come on, get up. Let me see what you're made of. Chi mother stood nearby, glaring daggers at Lana. Looked like she was itching to slap her. According to the novel, Chi father and mother were actually good people. They had always protected Huayan. But after the family was ruined, and their hearts full of rage, they died soon after from a combination of stress and heartbreak. When I walked in, everyone turned to look at me. Chi father and mother had guilt written all over their faces. They didn't know how to face me. Chi Sanyuan's eyes lit up. He thought I'd come back out of affection, that I still cared. Lana, on the other hand, snapped. Here to laugh at us, aren't you? What a heartless woman. My lips twitched. Your man is lying in the mud bleeding. Shouldn't you help him up first? While Lana reluctantly went to lift Chi Sanyuan, I walked up to Chi Father, who looked ready to keep swinging that pole. Old Master Chi, please, no more beating. Chi Sonyuan's eyes lit up again, hopeful. Chi Father, however, noticed I had changed how I addressed him and let out a long sigh. Just as Chi Sanyuan waited for me to plead on his behalf, I continued. Hurting him doesn't matter. What matters is your health. Chi Sonyuan's face turned white. Hua Yenyu. I ignored him. To me, he was just background noise. Old Master Chi, I'm afraid this residence will be confiscated by morning. Would you and Madam Chi consider staying at my home temporarily? They both waved their hands and declined. But Loner's eyes lit up with hope, her gaze shifting restlessly. In the end, after my persistent coaxing, Chi Father and Mother agreed, just for a short while, until they found somewhere else to go. As we were about to leave, Loner helped the injured Chi Sanyuan along, following behind us. I turned around with an innocent look. What are you two following me for? Loner answered matter-of-factly. Going home, of course. I chuckled. My house is my house. What does that have to do with you? It's way too small to fit faces as thick as yours. Chi Sonyuan's face turned red, then white. He frowned and said, Don't make a scene, Huayan. Before I could reply, Chi Father spat right on Chi Sonyuan's face. If you can't find a mirror, just piss on the ground and look into that. See for yourself. You don't deserve Huayan. I deeply regret arranging this marriage for you. 13. From behind, Loner wouldn't stop yelling, accusing me of being fake and pretending to be kind. But so what? The Chi family scandal had become a spectacle. A crowd had gathered to watch the drama. Soon, the entire capital knew. I had set aside past grievances and personally brought Chi Father and Mother back to live with me. As for Chi Sanyuan and Loner, sorry, don't ask. If you must ask, my heart's too broken. I can't face true love. I'm weak, so I'm right. Since it might be awkward for all of us, I thoughtfully prepared a separate courtyard to house the two elders. This way, we wouldn't disturb each other. Win-win. While moving things in, I happened to run into my handsome but mentally questionable next-door neighbor again. In a good mood, I waved at him. Sorry I haven't called you for mahjong lately. Haven't seen any ghosts around. Truly sorry. He stared at me, dumbfounded. His entire face red. Why hasn't she moved out yet? Why didn't she just not move, but actually brought 2 more people back in? In the end, he flung his sleeve and stormed off, utterly aggrieved. 14. That night, just as I was about to fall asleep, a ghostly wail floated in through the wind. Return my life. I died so miserably. I yawned. How did you die? The ghost paused, then muttered awkwardly. Murdered, I think. I asked again. So are you a male ghost or a female ghost? This time, he replied quickly. Male ghost. I turned over and said, You're a grown man. Shouldn't you go find your murderer and get revenge? Mumbling around here like this, isn't that embarrassing for a ghost? Silence. A long pause. Then, he ran off in shame. Not long after I'd dozed off again, another ghostly voice wailed. Return my life. I'm a female ghost. Now they're fighting for response time. I sat up and said cheerfully, Perfect. Can you come with me to the latrine? It's dark outside, and I'm scared. Silence again. Then, at length,
Okay, fine.
15. The next day, near noon, I set up a grill in the courtyard. I was sprawled out on a recliner, sunbathing while waiting for Xiao Mei to feed me barbecue. So when my parents and older brother came to visit, this is what they saw. Me, lounging crookedly on a chair, with a fat orange cat in my lap. To the left, musicians I'd hired were playing gentle tunes. To the right, a maid fanned me. Xiao Mei was dutifully grilling meat and feeding me bite by bite. Everyone fell into awkward silence when they saw my parents walk in. Eyes still closed, I frowned and said, Why'd you stop?
Keep playing.
Keep dancing. Then came a ghostly whisper. I thought your soul was crushed and you couldn't eat or sleep. Startled, I jerked upright, only to find my father's thunderous face inches from mine. Embarrassed, I quickly invited them to sit, picked up my nephew Xianer, and plopped him onto the swing. I'm just healing my emotional wounds. My father's face read, "You're full of it," after treating everyone to some barbecue and playing with Xianer for a bit. As they were leaving, I hugged Xianer tightly. "So cute. Why don't you stay with Auntie for a few days?" My brother snatched his son away. "Don't let your aunt corrupt you. All play, no ambition." Ever since birth, Xianer had been forced to compete nonstop. He looked back wistfully at the swing. "Dad, I want."
No.
"You don't." My brother cut him off flatly.
16.
While seeing my parents off, I happened to run into my neighbor leaving his courtyard, followed by a man and a woman. Before I could say anything, my father respectfully greeted him. "Greetings, Your Highness the Third Prince." A flicker of surprise crossed the prince's face. He looked at me, then at my father. "Lord Hua? And this is—" "My daughter, Your Highness." The third prince let out a meaningful "Oh." I watched as the two men exchanged polite, distant words. Rubbing my chin, I thought to myself, although the highly principled author never elaborated much on politics and focused only on domestic matters, after observing for a few days, I had a good idea of the situation. The Hua family had always supported the crown prince. Meanwhile, the third prince, Shinshua, was notoriously opposed to the crown prince. But judging by my father's reaction just now, I rubbed my chin again. Something's fishy. 17. That night, probably from eating too much barbecue, I couldn't sleep and kept tossing and turning. I ended up climbing to the rooftop pavilion in the courtyard. The higher view felt amazing. As I was enjoying the night breeze, I suddenly heard a door creak open next door. I looked toward the sound. It was Shinshua, the third prince, walking out with a hooded figure. He even thoughtfully adjusted the hood for them. Ah, how sweet. Although judging by the figure, the mystery person seemed to be male. But hey, love knows no boundaries. I was watching with great interest when the tile beneath me decided to betray me. Crack. The sound echoed loud and clear. And there I was, awkwardly locking eyes with Shinshua. After a long silence, I stammered. "Wow, weird night, things keep getting blurry for no reason. I think I need to see a doctor." "Okay, I'll go now." A gust of wind blew. And the next thing I knew, Shinshua's guards had invited me to their courtyard. Before anyone could speak, I quickly raised my hands and said, "Sorry for the interruption. Moon's out, wind's high, carry on with your rendezvous." Shinshua's lips twitched. "What exactly did you see?" I thought carefully and replied sincerely. "I saw you two shatter the chains of gender for love. Truly inspirational. A role model for us all." Under the pale moonlight, I clearly saw a vein bulge on Shinshua's forehead. 18. After a long pause, Shinshua finally took a deep breath and quietly said to the hooded figure, "She's the daughter of Minister Hua. She made a scene recently with that high-profile divorce. All she knows is eating, drinking, and goofing off. Shouldn't be a problem." I was not having it. "Excuse me? I haven't even called you out yet for pretending to be a ghost to scare me away just so you could have secret trysts." Shinshua ignored the words secret tryst. "You'd better take what you saw tonight to your grave." I stroked my chin and said thoughtfully,
Sure.
1,000 taels in hush money." He ground his teeth. "You're extorting me." I raised an eyebrow. 1,000 taels for keeping quiet about your secret passage rendezvous with the crown prince. Not worth it? Besides, that tunnel runs right under my house. Ever heard of a land use fee? 19. The air instantly froze. After a long silence, the hooded figure took off his hood, revealing a gentle face. "May I ask, Miss Hua, how did you know?" I didn't say anything, just held out my hand. Shinshua grumbled and reluctantly pulled out a banknote to hand over. I took it happily and said, "It was half a guess, half a bluff." Shinshua looked like he was about to pass out from rage. I rolled my eyes. "Seriously? That's stingy? How about this? Since I've already taken your money, I won't leave you empty-handed. Here's some free advice. I've heard that the feud between the crown prince and the third prince only heated up in the last 6 months. If I had to guess, it probably has something to do with the return of the first prince, the one with all the military merits, back from the border. The crown prince and Shin Shua's faces changed on the spot. The current emperor had 3 sons. The first prince was born of a concubine with low status but strong military achievements. The second prince was the crown prince, legitimate and orthodox. The third prince, Shin Shua, lost his mother early and was basically left to raise himself. Now the emperor was getting old, and with the first prince back in the capital, it was only natural that the fight for the throne would begin in earnest. The crown prince and Shin Shua putting on a show of rivalry? That was just smoke and mirrors, meant to confuse the public and distract the first prince. If your big brother's been bouncing around trying to prove himself, has the emperor said a single word about it? The older people get, the more they fear death. The more the first prince stirs things up, the more the emperor will see him as a threat, like he's eager for the throne. Think the emperor's happy about that? Instead of dancing to someone else's tune, you should focus on the one person who actually calls the shots. With that, I yawned and went off to bed, ignoring the two of them as they sat there in stunned silence. People in the thick of it always get blinded by their own games. After a long pause, the crown prince sneered. Qi Sanyuan really had no eye for treasure, ignored the diamond, and brought home a rock. Shin Shua withdrew his gaze from where I'd disappeared. She's interesting, the crown prince added, meaningfully. To get under your icy skin like that. Yeah, very interesting.
20.
After that night, I didn't bother much with court politics anymore. The only reason I'd even bothered to poke them a bit was because my dad supported the crown prince. If the first prince actually took the throne, my dad probably wouldn't fare too well, which would mess with my carefree life plans.
Can't have that.
Besides, I was really busy these days renovating my snack street. The snack street my sister-in-law gave me was wildly popular, but most customers were commoners. The wealthy folks weren't interested. They thought it was dirty or beneath their status. So, I invested a ton of money to renovate all the storefronts, upgraded the counters, and made the food prep process totally visible and transparent. Then, I introduced a new lineup of smell-tastic dishes. Spicy noodles, fried chicken, crayfish, you name it. Business exploded. Now I was counting money every day. Life was good. 21. One day, I brought Xiao Mei to check in on the snack street. And wouldn't you know it? We ran right into Qi Sanyuan and Lana. Lana was staring longingly at a freshly fried batch of chicken, clinging to Qi Sanyuan's sleeve and whining. San Lang, I really want to try that. Qi Sanyuan asked about the price, then frowned. Too expensive. That's enough to feed us for 3 days. Lana's expression changed immediately. She snapped. Ever since I married you, I haven't had a single good day. Being dragged down by you useless. Qi Sanyuan looked at her, stunned, as if he couldn't comprehend how this was the same woman who had claimed she'd die without him just days ago. After a long silence, he gritted his teeth. Didn't you beg me to take you home, crying about how you'd be fine even as a cat or a dog? The two of them started bickering right there on the street. I stood off to the side, thoroughly entertained. My smile nearly reached the back of my ears. Then, out of nowhere, Shin Shua appeared. He stared at my grinning face, lips twitching. Miss Hua. What a coincidence. Immediately, everyone turned to look. Miss Hua and Qi Sanyuan? Juicy. Qi Sanyuan looked at me with gentle eyes.
Yane.
I didn't expect to see you here. Were you looking for me? I stared at him blankly. We're already divorced. You should be calling me Miss Hua. Also, I'm here inspecting my business. It has nothing to do with you, don't overthink it. 22. Right then, a loyal shop assistant brought over the day's ledger and flattered me. Miss Hua, you really are incredible. Since you took over the street, our profits have tripled. Qi Sanyuan and Lana stared at me, utterly dumbfounded, as if they couldn't believe their ears. In their eyes, I'd only ever been a pampered young lady from a good family, not someone with actual skills. Lana tugged on Qi Sanyuan's sleeve and gestured toward the fried chicken. Chi Sanyuan didn't want to lose face by asking me for help, so he irritably shook her off. I smirked. Since I'm in a good mood today, everyone here, this meal's on me. From now on, any household struggling financially can come here daily for a free meal. Lana looked like she was about to celebrate, until I added, "Of course, this gentleman and lady are excluded. I assume you wouldn't have the face to eat it anyway, right?" Lana's curse was drowned out by the cheering crowd. People laughed and started ordering food happily. Miss Hua is beautiful and kind. Seriously, what was that guy thinking? How do you throw away a woman like that? Right? And she can make money too. Lana and Chi Sanyuan flushed red and white in turns. I was deeply satisfied. 23. Honestly, I don't know how some people have skin that thick. Chi Sanyuan and Lana had the audacity to follow me all the way home. They insisted on staying over, claimed they wanted to take care of his parents. Xiaomei was furious and wanted to throw them out, but I stopped her. All right. The two of them couldn't believe their ears. They probably hadn't expected me to agree so easily. Then I added, "As for rent, you clearly can't pay, so I'll waive it. But you can't just live here for free, right? Washing clothes and chopping firewood will earn you a spot in the woodshed. Take it or leave it." They looked at each other, calculating. There weren't many people in my household. How many clothes could we possibly have to wash? How much would it chop? They agreed without hesitation. I chuckled to myself. Clearly, they've never been beaten down by real life. 24. The next morning, Lana was stunned to see a literal mountain of laundry in front of her. Chi Sanyuan didn't fare much better. There was an entire courtyard full of firewood waiting to be chopped. The two of them strongly protested. I, however, remained calm. Our staffing policy is mutual selection. You're free to leave at any time. In the end, they both grumbled as they got to work. I nodded with satisfaction. The snack streets got some nice new employee benefits. Unlimited firewood supply. Free laundry service. 25. Within a few days, Lana couldn't take it anymore. Honestly, I didn't blame her. While she washed clothes, I was swinging in the garden, napping, grilling meat, and listening to live music. Anyone would break under that. Soon, she set her sights on Shinshoa. Every time he stepped outside, she'd coincidentally show up in full seductive mode. But Shinshoa wasn't having it. "Miss, if you didn't wash your face this morning, maybe don't leave the house? You've got a huge crust of eye gunk. Absolutely disgusting." I was eavesdropping in the courtyard and nearly died laughing. But then I remembered. Wait, wasn't Shinshoa the thigh Lana was supposed to cling to in the novel? TCH. I hit the toilet too hard and missed the later chapters before transmigrating. Now I was insanely curious. Too bad, Lana didn't even get a whiff of Shinshoa anymore. He stopped coming back regularly, and the capital started to feel tense. I could sense it. The battle for the crown was reaching its climax. 26. On the 10th day, after I'd warned everyone to stay low profile, everything changed. The previously soaring first prince somehow angered the emperor. He was exiled to some barren wasteland and forbidden to return without imperial decree. His military power? Stripped clean and handed over to third prince Shinshoa. Meanwhile, the crown prince began serving as regent. I smiled. The emperor was still the emperor. He'd never let any one prince get too powerful. But the supposed rivalry between the crown prince and Shinshoa? Yeah, that fooled even him. He used Shinshoa to balance the crown prince, securing his own position. It's true what they say. There is no affection in imperial bloodlines. 27. The morning after the dust settled, I was woken up by a loud commotion. There were faint sounds of a woman crying and a man cursing. I quickly freshened up and headed outside to watch the drama. Shinshoa stood in the courtyard, arms crossed. Lana was lying face down on the ground, and Chi Sanyuan was furiously slapping her across the face. Seeing me, Shinshoa pointed at Lana. "Miss Hua, your laundry maid tried to climb into this prince's bed. Don't you think I deserve an explanation?" I nodded sincerely. Absolutely. Then I crouched beside Lana and said gently, He likes men. You have to understand. 28. Shin Shua choked on air, coughing violently while pointing at me with a trembling hand. Do you have a personal vendetta against me? I gave him a meaningful look. I got you low-key, low-key. Lana looked like her soul had left her body. Her leg was already broken, and now, after Chi Sunyuan slaps, her once beautiful face looked like a dirt-smeared, snot-covered ball. Chi Sanyuan raged. You damn jinx. How dare you try to cheat on me? I should sell you to a brothel right now. As he moved to kick her again,
Lana suddenly snapped.
she yanked Chi Sanyuan to the ground, pounced on him, and bit straight into his neck. Blood gushed out instantly. By the time Shin Shua's guards pried them apart, Chi Sanyuan had a gaping wound in his neck and couldn't speak. Lana, mouth full of blood, laughed hysterically. Then mid-laugh, she stopped breathing. I stood there, dumbstruck. Just how obsessed was this author? No matter how wildly the plot twisted, they just had to kill someone off with a dramatic gasp in the end. 29. Chi Sanyuan survived. But from then on, his voice wheezed with every word, and he was sickly, chained to herbal medicine for life. Chi father and mother took him back to the countryside. Before they left, they looked at me as if they wanted to say something. I waved them off. No more debts, no more grudges. Let it all go with the wind. Once the crown prince became regent, he heavily favored the Hua family. Barring any major surprises, our clan would be safe for at least 3 generations. My glorious slacker life was finally secure. But very soon I got bored. So one moonless, windy night, I left a letter for my parents, grabbed Xiao Mei, my fat orange cat, and a hired female bodyguard with top-tier martial arts, and disappeared. The world is vast. I wanted to see it. 30. Extra Chapter 1. At midnight, my bodyguard accompanied me to the latrine. While doing my business, I chatted out of boredom. Big sis, who pays you more? Me or the third prince? She answered without thinking. Of course the tea. How did you know? I smirked. Half was a guess. Half was baiting you. 31. Extra Chapter 2. Many days later, after wrapping up his own affairs, Shin Shua caught up with us. Let me join you, Lady Hua. I raised an eyebrow. Food and lodging on your own dime. He laughed. Money grubber. Back in the capital, the crown prince held the military seal, but his mouth twitched as he read a letter. It was short. Only one line. I'm done with it all. Just remember to send my salary on time. As for the future? T-Sate. Who cares? The end.